this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings, fellow Oscar viewers, or Chainsaw viewers, or Saturn viewers, or any of you who like those different awards but have been left out in the cold, because we are here for another Versus Awards talk.
Where we talk about the films that we felt ought to have been nominated for 2020.
So we got quite a few of these left. For those of you who wonder why are we starting at part 2, we didn't. We have a part 1. So
Yes.
check that out if you would.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to put these up every Tuesday because Monday I can't get it edited and downloaded and up in time, in just no time. But let's just take a look at what we got. Show them what we got. So let's see here. Nope, that's not it. And there we go. And there we are. So
Yes.
we're going to go ahead and get started with our stuff here. I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to put this here, so that we can get a good idea as to what's going on. So this first one here is Do Not Split. Now, it's not up for a lot. It's up for a Best Documentary Short. And it can be easily seen off of Vimeo. Matter of fact, they're not charging, so you should take a look at this. To me, I think this is something that you really should check out. People who made this are likely not living or disappeared into a jail somewhere because they risked their lives in order to document something that China themselves as a government has denied even has happened. And I mean, even companies like, say, Blizzard, which Blizzard isn't doing very nice in the news right now because of different things, especially the sexual harassment. But people like Blizzard who have been basically even kicking players off who would mention Hong Kong as being independent. So I just think it's an important thing. I know a lot of times when we look at these things, we try to cater a lot to. I mean, there's a lot of people in China, and you got to cater to the government for that. I mean, look at Mulan, best example, the live action, not the animated. I mean, that was done entirely to cater to China and the Chinese government. And this is the kind of thing that that needs to get out there, because the Free Hong Kong, it just may not be there much longer if it's still there. So, in any case, that's just my thoughts. What did you think of this one?
Well, it is a very impressive film, and it really does show you that there's some rough stuff going on over there. And I do think it's definitely worth a watch. No doubt about it.
All right, well, let's move on.
Well, we were also talking about like chances for winning, right?
Oh yeah, for that one, I don't think it's got a huge chance.
Probably not.
I mean, we got some kick-ass competition.
Yes.
But still, it's not too terribly bad. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, you don't know. I mean, it is probably one of the most easy to watch for free. So one of them out of the ones we've got. So
It's also not super long. Was it like 25 minutes?
yeah, it's not that long.
Yeah, so it's easy enough to watch generally. Next up, we have something a little bit more on the entertaining level. We have a new adaptation of the classic Jane Austen novel, Emma. It's a fun movie. Stars, as you can tell here, Bill Nighy has got a amusing supporting role. But Anya Taylor-Joy really, she really nailed it in this role. She was great as, Emma. She is a character that is problematic for me. I have known individuals who are very similar to her in not always in a good way. In fact, one of them told me once that that the Gwyneth Paltrow Emma was one of her favorite movies. I wonder why. But ultimately, Emma, well, it's not spoiling anything to say that, she learns a little bit by the end of it. And of course, this was the inspiration for the classic movie and TV series Clueless. It's not this movie, but the story. But this movie is up for makeup and hairstyling and costume design. Frankly, I'm disappointed and surprised it's not up for more, but it was for me a near miss in multiple categories, including production design, score. It almost made my score list because I love the music. But overall, I believe, weren't the Oscar nods for costuming and production design?
Yeah.
And did it ultimately win costume? No, I didn't think so. The good ones never say that. But I really do think, though, that it has a pretty fair shot with at least costume design. It's got some stiff competition in the makeup category, but yeah. It's a good movie, and it's been around since, this came out, I think, my birthday weekend, and I almost went to go see it, and I kind of wish I had, but it's easily available on physical. Mm-hmm. I think this is where it's playing here. So also HBO Max, you can rent it for a small amount, but it's easily available on physical.
I saw it. I saw it since we have HBO Max. I saw it on HBO Max. But yeah, the renting is for like Amazon Prime and like YouTube and those places.
All right. And what were your thoughts on that?
I think it's definitely got a. I think these are great for costume design and makeup. I mean, really, they are. Mm-hmm. I think it's leagues above Bad Boys. So I think it will beat that one at least.
What about Hawk and Rev?
I don't know. Hawk and Rev is right there. We're going to be covering that, though, soon enough.
Actually, we'll be...
So we'll have to talk about what we think its chances
are.
Most assuredly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we'll go to this next one, which I know you've had trouble getting to watch the copy.
Yeah, this is one of... Okay, there's two tonight I have not yet seen. This is one of them.
So, this is Enter the Fat Dragon, which is it's a very good Chinese action film of the year. Just to show you, I am not anti-Chinese cinema at all. Matter of fact, two of my favorites, one of them I wanted to nominate, but it unfortunately fell to last year. Gosh, what was the one? It was the one about the bullying and stuff like that. You remember which one? I can't think of the name of it right now, but I
think it was one of the ones I did not end up seeing.
It's on the Rightstuf sale, so I ended up. Well, it's not anymore because the Rightstuf sale's over. But I did purchase it on. I
didn't realize it was.
And it was really good. So I have some like for it, and this is a funny comedy. It's very Jackie Chan-ish in that way. It's about this guy who he's a super cop, and Unfortunately, he screws up and ends up in a desk job and puts on a large amount of weight because he's just sitting there at the desk with his with the snack machine. And he finally gets an opportunity to do something right, and that leads it. To me, it's fun. It's a very funny film, very enjoyable. I am so glad to have it. It's up for stunt work, and if you looking at this, you can see what I mean. Some of these stuff was, of course, done by the actors, but the stunt work itself as well is just, stupendous.
And you got to mention that this is a Donnie Yen film, and he is well known for his action. I believe he's the one that played the Ip Man, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. So you got some amazing stuff going on in this. It's gonna be, of course, it's out on physical, like I have a copy, and you can rent it for about $2.99, which isn't bad. I mean, that's actually
where did you find it for
$2.99? Prime. I think Prime has it.
I could have sworn on Prime it was $4.99.
Well, it was. Well, keep in mind when I was looking at it, it was prices are subject to change.
They are.
So, still. Good film, and you didn't get to see it, but it looks like one you might have interest in.
I very much want to see this. I mean, I wanted to see it when we first heard about it. We thought it would look fun.
You think that the stunt work would be?
From what I can tell, heck, from what I can tell, that would be a contender for makeup and hair. That old fat suit they got him on.
And he does a great job working on it. All right. So let's move on to...
Next up, we have a documentary short nominee, which is actually 50 minutes long, so it's really pushing the limits of a short. I was going to say,
isn't the short film like...
we defined it as less than an hour. Okay. That was our... I don't know if that's the actual definition.
I know 45 minutes is the official feature. But
is that official? You knew this and you didn't say anything when we were determining this?
I must have been checked out. I don't know. But,
so we decided we would put the split at an hour to make it easy. So this one is a contender for short documentary.
Sure.
Theoretically, at least. I mean, it's listed. There's a series of these. There's 6 of them. 3 of which came out last year and were eligible. And one of our group nominated all 3 of them. And I think they were the only person that had seen these previously. I watched this one because it was the one that was nominated, and it kind of honestly killed my interest in seeing the others.
Yeah. I watched it when Dave originally sent me that.
It's all right. I mean, it's interesting, but it really doesn't feel like a documentary to me. It feels... But I guess if you really believe this stuff, it would probably come across a little better. But it's basically about that. Well, as you can tell from the title, it's about the idea that there has been a lot of genetic mixing between humans and interstellar races, and it's an intriguing premise. And the person that presents it, this lady here, whose name escapes me at the moment, clearly is invested in what she's saying. I didn't buy it, but it's a well-made doc in a sense, and it's interesting. I don't think this has much chance of winning, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It was interesting. I've watched all the parts, but the other parts aren't that much different from.
Well, how does are they similar in terms of quality?
Yeah,
and what have you?
This is basically, yeah.
Okay.
But you don't have to pay for it. You can watch it on Tubi.
Yeah.
And you can rent it on Amazon. It advertises for Amazon. So if you want to pay them, you can pay it $2 an episode. You can buy this.
Okay.
So yeah, or rent it, I should say. There's no real buying with this.
Right.
All right. So, well, get to move from this to a
Yes.
fun one.
Yes.
So, Eurovision, the story of Fire Saga,
Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh,
Story
yes.
of Fire Saga.
and this one is one I wanted to go ahead and put myself up for this one because I have complex feelings about Will Ferrell. I've really disliked him in a lot of things he did. I did not like Step Brothers. I didn't like that ice skating one very much.
Blades of Glory was great.
But so I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to watch this movie because it got nominated for Best Song.
Yes.
And it actually wasn't bad. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed it. And it is about these guys and this pair who
Fire Saga.
they call themselves Fire Saga, and they've always wanted to win the Eurovision Song Contest. And due to a streak of luck, maybe luck is a bad tragedy, more likely, they managed to get their way into it. And it surprised me on a number of levels. But
Yes. Not the least of which what we just saw. Dan Stevens is a Russian Lothario.
But
It's great.
it's up for makeup and hairstyling, which you should be able to see pretty well in the
Right.
in this, and use of music in film. I mean, some of the performances are really entertaining.
Yes.
I was surprised. It did not get original song
Strangely.
as a nomination, but
Strangely.
and the only place I know that you can find it is on Netflix.
Yeah.
So what did you think of?
Well, I'm going to say, first of all, again, there were at least 10 original songs for this. And Husavik did get the Oscar nod. It is a phenomenal song.
Mm-hmm.
The song that they actually submitted to Eurovision, Double Trouble, was also pretty kick-ass. And then that you guys saw the horrorcore band that was singing this song, Running with the Wolves. I friggin' love that song. And it was, what's even better is I watched this the same night I watched Wolfwalkers, and they both had songs called Running with Wolves. It was great. That's just, how's that for a interesting, but I honestly am also shocked that, especially given some of the nominees, I'm shocked that this one did not get a nod for costume design. I just,
I feel like I put it up for it.
I think I did too, probably. But I think this one is one of the front runners for use of music in film because this is exactly what the category is intended for. This is a movie that is pumped full of music. And it's integral to the story.
I love the
and
song
it's good too.
Here.
Oh yes, Yeah Yeah Ding Dong was also a Yeah Yeah Ding Dong was almost a nominee. See, that was what killed it for me. I submitted Husavik, but there were just so many great songs from this movie. I didn't want to flood the category. I was hoping other people would put some in. But anyway, I was delightfully surprised. I love this movie.
You think it's got some good chances?
Oh, like I say, use of music and film, I think it has a solid chance if people bother to watch it.
No.
Makeup and hair is harder to call. But again, a lot of it is, will people bother to watch it?
Now, do you think it can beat Bad Boys?
For makeup and hair?
Yep. All right. Well, with that being said, speaking of flooded, you've got quite a few to cover next time.
Yes. So next up, we have another Best Picture nominee. Yes, one that actually was a nominee at the Oscars. So Florian Zeller's The Father, which is based on his play, is, well, about a father and his daughter, and he has dementia and he is losing touch with reality, with the world, what have you. And his daughter is very supportive and also struggling mightily with everything that's going on. And in these roles, Olivia Colman plays the daughter and just is absolutely phenomenal. Anthony Hopkins as the father does give, I would say, one of the best performances he ever has given. The problem is, I am very much in the naturalistic school when it comes to dramatic acting. And Hopkins has much more of a stage presence. I really think he is, if you were to put him up as a stage actor, he's one of the best. But in movies, there's a difference between movie acting and stage acting. And I think he did great in this role, but I think he could have done it better with more naturalism in my book.
It would have gone over well as a play.
It was a play.
Oh, well, there you go.
And yes, it was, like I said, it's adapted by a director, from his own play. But this film still caught me, even though I have those criticisms. It's still a really damn well done movie. Is the editing, the production design, the direction, everything went together to help the viewer understand his confusion in a way I don't think I've ever seen done in a film. And it was an impressive movie, and it's up for an reasonably impressive bit of I think we gave it one less than the Academy did. And I think we nominated it for everything they did. Well, that they did everything we did, which is Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay for Christopher Hampton and Florian Zeller, Supporting Actress for Olivia Colman, Actor for Anthony Hopkins, and the editing. I want to say the other one was production design, wasn't it, as far as the Oscars?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. But, yeah, what's your thoughts on that one?
I got obsessed with this film because it didn't come out until right before the awards. And theoretically, yes, it was released in a limited fashion in 2020.
Yes.
And didn't get a wide release until 2021, right before the Oscars.
Right.
And I ended up purchasing this thing full price, ticket price. Again, purchased, meaning long rental, just so I could see it. And I admit, it really was a powerful thing. And the fact of the matter is that because of how many awards it won and was up for, I'm glad I got to see it. Of course, you can get it on physical now, and you can rent it for considerably less than what I rented it for. I believe that's $4.99, which is slightly less than what I rented it for. So, with that being said, do yourself a favor, check it out. I will be eventually getting the physical once it comes down in price. It will be there. Shoot, it may get a Criterion release in the future, which it probably should.
It'll probably get a Criterion release long before some of the stuff that's still on streaming at the time.
Oh yeah, it's still a pretty good chance. I think it's got a good shot at what it's got. I mean, it's not going to get my vote for Best Actor just because we've talked about it before. I've got to give it to Chadwick Boseman, but still, Supporting Actress has a good shot. I'm not voting for it, but voting for Olivia Colman on it. But I can say others probably will. I think so. All right,
good times.
We'll move on.
Well, moving on. So this next one we've got is a nominee for live action short, which is going to be one of the few, if any, others that we're doing this week. Is a movie called Feeling Through. And if I remember correctly, this was also a relatively short film. I want to say it was maybe like 18, 19 minutes, something like that. There we go. Yeah, 1826. Okay. You can find it easily enough on YouTube, which is nice. Which is rare for a live action short, actually. But the film, you got this homeless kid who kind of gets sort of stood up by the people he was going to crash with for the night. And he ends up meeting up with this dude who's blind and deaf, if I'm remembering correct. Yeah, blind and deaf. And the guy who plays him is actually played by a man who's blind and deaf. He's considered the first actor, blind and deaf actor, to star in a film, any film. So it's kind of an historic film. It's and he does a good job. He definitely does. The kid does a great job too. I wasn't as blown away by the movie as a lot of the critics were. Definitely a lot of people were, because it was considered a front runner for the Oscars and got in. But definitely a good one. I'm glad I got to see it. And I don't know, it's got a huge shot with this group, but hopefully at least a lot of them will watch it.
I mean, I haven't. I'm not sure whether I'm going to vote for it or not. I haven't decided my vote yet. I have seen all of the nominees this year now, but I don't know. There is something about it. I mean, I worked for a short time with people who were blind and deaf when I did an internship at the Helen Keller Institute, which was really neat. Learned a little bit about finger spelling. Learned, of course, with the other, you're doing a palm, which is much more difficult. But still, it is kind of cool, and I'm curious how the me of now would be dealing with that, because the young 20-something-year-old me was more intimidated by it, I'll admit. But it is an interesting thing. As someone who wanted to work with people with disabilities, this was a pretty cool thing to watch.
Cool. All right, and now we have another one of the Oscar-nominated shorts for the year, but it's an animated short called Genius Loki. And, well, it's a French film, a pretentious, boring French film. Honestly, I did not entirely care for this one. It was artsy. It was very artsy.
I hoped it wasn't getting a nomination, but apparently it did.
It did. Okay. Again, we believe very strongly that there was someone who inverted all their votes because they didn't follow the rules, and because they submitted so late, there was no way to fix it. So I think we ended up putting a lot more points into this one than we would have. There was another individual who only submitted 2 short films, and this was one of them. So it got an extra point from them. And it was enough to beat out some films that either of us would have thought to put in. That being said, it's not a bad film. I'm kind of glad I saw it. It's
weird.
It's weird, and it did not grab me. And of all the animated, I saw a lot of animated shorts this year. I saw the 5 nominated for Oscar. Was it 4 or 3 that were part of that package you sent out? And I watched 2 on my own that I don't think anyone else in the group ended up watching. So of course they didn't get the nod. And this one was dead last. Dead last. But it's a nominee, and it had at least one strong booster in our group, so who knows?
It may get it, but it won't be for my vote. If you want to watch this, you are going to have to pay a full price ticket to watch one of those ones that have all the shorts, because online I have not been able to find a single way to watch this on its own. The only way I think that you can watch it is by buying a full-on movie ticket to watch.
Now, granted, if you do that, you get, again, 8
films. You get a lot,
yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a bad value, and it's only like $10 and something. So,
and most of them are good.
I wouldn't pay that for just this, but yeah.
No, most of the ones you get are quite good. And one of them, The Snail and the Whale, is like a half hour long. So it's like you're actually getting a proper movie in with all these really short ones.
A good one. I almost got that one. Almost got in.
Okay, now for something completely different. We have a film that I really genuinely hoped would gotten more, but it got one. And that was Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. I actually fought long and hard for this one's inclusion because it had a London premiere in 2019 and then did not air again anywhere until February 2020. So to me, it is clearly a 2020 release, but IMDb says otherwise. But anyway, this film is about a drug runner played by Matthew McConaughey who has grown tired of the game and is looking to get out and sell his crop to a buyer. Trying to remember who plays the buyer, but anyway, it has a fascinating cast. You had Charlie Hunnam as his right-hand man, Downton Abbey's Michelle Dockery as his wife. You've got Colin Farrell mixed in there, and Hugh Grant in what is probably his most hilarious role that he will ever have.
Probably his least Hugh Grantish role.
In one of his least Hugh Grantish roles, exactly. And I actually wanted to nominate him for supporting actor, but in the very 11th hour, he ended up losing my vote to other better choices. Oh, and yeah, Harry Golding as well is in there. I just loved how many people in here were kind of cast against type. But it's also a return to form for to the old school Guy Ritchie. After movies like Aladdin, he went back home to his roots. Movies like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and but with a little more polish, and you know. But I loved it, absolutely loved it. It is only up for stunt work, but it's actually a really good. I mean, you just see that dude getting thrown off the balcony there. It actually is one that I think the stunt work is pretty impressive. I would have liked to see it up for more, but it got that at least. What's your take on that one?
I mean, I remember seeing it in theaters with you. I think it was one of the few films in 2020 I saw in theaters. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I own it on physical. But if you don't want to get it on physical, you can watch it on Showtime with a subscription. And I think it's worth the watch. It is very fun. I did not put it up for anything, but the stunt work is indeed somewhat impressive. So it may have a shot there. All right. One more, and then you can take a rest.
And then I have kind of a weird one for me to cover, I guess. Hamilton, the movie that IMDb still lists as the most popular film of 2020, and they still have all along. I don't really know what to make of this, because basically when it comes down to it, it is just I use the term concert film, which is kind of accurate for a musical, but really what it is, it's basically a documentary, and it basically is the theatrical production, the Broadway production of Hamilton, 3 or 4 shows edited together to create, I guess you could say, the official version. It's one that I didn't see, as you saw from that trailer. It's on Disney Plus. I only had an opportunity to actually watch it very recently. Thanks, Firestick. It is really good, but again, to my mind, it's only nominations for original score, and I think you were the one that nominated it. I think that's bull. Honestly, I think that's
low. I put it low on that.
I know, but no one bothered with that category. But it is sad, especially because there was. Okay, so I submitted this for a couple of things.
I mean, it's a good score.
It is a great score, but it's not original to the film. But because it got in somehow. We were much more concerned about the dates than we were about adhering to the categories. I guess. But it is an original score if you're looking at the Broadway production. So it's kind of a gray area. I had actually submitted it as a documentary because that's the way I look at it. And the one thing that I really was actually genuinely disappointed that it missed out on, and I blame you for apologies to Let Movie One. Again, that cameo was like, how could you count that as a cameo? The one that was next on my list that might have gotten in was Jonathan Groff's performance as King George. That is a cameo. I loved those moments. That made the whole show for me. I kind of sat through the rest of it, but I loved those moments where he came out. Did that jaunty little British sounding number. So yeah, I don't think this one, it shouldn't win, but given I can't predict that it won't. I really can't.
Yeah, it could. You never know. I have a feeling some people will vote for it just because it's Hamilton.
Probably. Some people will probably vote against it for the same reason.
But it is only on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
If you haven't been able to figure out from the video playing over and over again, and it is what it is. It was good. It was not something that blew me away like so many others, but maybe it's because I didn't pay $100 to see it live.
Well, I think also probably, I mean, you're very sensitive to hype, and I'm relatively sensitive to it. And my God, was this hype.
This was super right. All right. Well, you get to take a rest for a few.
Woo!
So this one was definitely one I had never heard of before seeing it. Which is Hawk and Rev Vampire Slayer. It's about these two guys that end up finding out about vampires, that they're real. And a lot of the vampires are Hot Topic like vampires. But they end up going on this vampire hunting spree. And that's about the whole of it.
Well, it's a cop and a janitor.
Yeah. And it's a comedic.
Yes.
It's a horror comedy.
Yes.
And it's up for original screenplay, Ryan Barton Grimley, and it is indeed an original. And for costume design, which is funny, I was actually surprised it wasn't up for low budget.
Again, I think this individual inverted all their votes, and we probably would have seen very different votes for this movie otherwise. But incidentally, Mr. Grimley, Martin Grimley, whatever his name is the one who plays Hawk, and I think he directed it as well.
I mean, it's a fun film. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
You can buy it physical if you want, and you can rent it for $3.99. So did you enjoy Hawk and Rev?
I actually did enjoy this. I wasn't sure what I would make of it, but when I started watching, I was like, oh yeah, I'll be good with this. But I don't think it really deserved the exact. But yeah, low budget feature would have been a great choice.
I don't think it's got much of a shot at the two it's nominated for, but you never know.
You never know.
Now, one that I was really up on, and unfortunately, that's not.
You don't have a trailer for it, apparently.
I am just screwed over for it.
How did you not have that one?
Well, I think it probably just got knocked to the side. But we're talking about Hillbilly Elegy here, which I'm going to. Oh, there you go. So Hillbilly Elegy, I had it just got clicked off. Hillbilly Elegy is based on a novel of such about this guy.
Memoir
about this guy. He grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and he basically had his mother who was having a hard time getting together, and his grandmother has to kind of step up to the plate in order to do things, kind of right her own wrongs in raising his mother. So to speak. So this one I thought was an amazing film. Unfortunately, it got smeared for a couple of things. One, by a tweet that was, they reached hard to make that into a race baiting tweet, because I read the tweet and it, not really, because it was sort of like, yeah, he said this, which is related to this saying, which is done by these people who go in this movement, which is racist. And I'm like, no. The thing that people really hate about it, it's about white rednecks in Appalachia, and it takes it in a serious note. And I understand, because a lot of those individuals are not necessarily looked at as the highest light there, but I think it's good that we see people in those areas by that light. They're not all the stereotypes that people look at.
Right.
It's up for adapted screenplay for Vanessa Taylor there, and Glenn Close for playing the grandma. And I know
apparently
that
she's nominated for Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah, I was tired doing this. But
so actress.
Yeah, actress. And
boys, no support.
I know we disagree on it, but a lot of my thoughts when growing up, I mean, she does an amazing job, because she's not from Appalachia, but she comes across like she was from there. She comes across as a real individual.
Oh, I don't.
And Ron Howard did this film, of course. So this is why I felt like she did deserve the supporting actress nod. And to me, yeah, that's as much as it goes. You can watch it on Netflix, which means it may never come to physical, but hopefully it will. What do you think of it?
Well, I don't dispute that Glenn Close did a great job. She did do a great job. I was disappointed in Amy Adams, but that was partly because she played such a hateful character in the movie. But I just felt like it was also a little bit of a weaker role for her than some of what I've seen before. I do think that they film... I haven't read the book, so I can't really fully judge it as an adaptation of the book. I can definitely say that I saw a lot of adapted screenplays that I thought a lot more highly of, and I saw a lot of acting that I thought more highly of. But yeah, it's this is similar to its Oscar nods, which were Glenn Close, and then there was a makeup nod. Which I would have given it makeup over adapted screenplay without question. But at any rate, it's interesting to see.
I think for me, it's more of that personal.
And I'm not at all. I mean, you were much more in the thick of it than I was, but I have plenty of family in that region. I've spent plenty of time in that region, and yeah. No, I get what you're saying about it being fairly authentic. And I do think the film got unjustly tarred with...
As we look at this picture of this person.
Exactly, yes. Exactly.
Well, why don't we go to that then?
Yes.
So, The Hunt. Now, I have an interesting... story about that. Actually, early on in the plague, we're stuck at home, and my wife is like, they just dumped a bunch of 2020 releases on Pornhub. And so we watched a few 2020 releases on Pornhub, and this was the one that we decided on eventually to watch. Ooh. And it just cracked me up that I watched this first on Pornhub. It's up for editing. Essentially, it's about these individuals who end up being kidnapped and released. And it's very much in the line of The Most Dangerous Game. That whole idea of the people that hunt humans, but there is a twist to it. That
only one?
Well, one big twist, but they're definitely it's a lot of it is that the people doing the hunting are liberals, and they're hunting these conservative types. With one of them, well, they picked the wrong person to mess with, let's just say.
Yeah.
It's more to it than you would think, though. And I love that it's actually quite intelligent in the writing, and I kind of find it fun that it is up for
it's notable. It's written by the team behind Lost, which is kind of interesting.
And it is on physical. You can rent it for around $4, and you can watch it on HBO if you have it. So
this one, it had a lot of twists.
We watched this not too long ago.
Yeah, just last week, I think. Actually, this one and Hawk and Rev, and I Care a Lot, and I think there was maybe one more we're doing this week that I've watched since we came up with our list, basically. This one, actually, it's kind of hilarious that the film you watched on Pornhub is up for editing. I think that's kind of, is appropriate, I suppose. One of the twists in this, I don't know if I ought to say it, because it really... Well, let's just say it pulled a Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's put it that way. And I thought that was kind of a fun thing that it did. I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. It is very gory.
It's a fun film, though.
It does have moments that I could have done without that, and especially on the plane scene, there was some stuff there. But like with that dude. But overall, I was impressed and mostly entertained, and kind of disappointed that it didn't get up for more. But But it was problematic for me because I didn't know. Watching it, I spent half the time going, "What in the bleeding hell are the politics behind this movie?"
It's hard to say.
And then at the end, I was like, you know what? Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe
that's the thing. I think you can, I really do think you can watch it no matter what side of the aisle you're on, and get some enjoyment out of it.
You won't enjoy it if you're thin-skinned. Let's put it that way.
You got to be kind of open-minded to it, but I think that you could watch this either way, and I think you could be offended by it either way.
Yes.
So hey, equal opportunity.
Exactly.
So you think it's got a good shot at editing?
Yeah, probably not.
All right. So another of the short film, I didn't even write it down there, but it's a short documentary, is this particular one, which I'm actually apparently running the whole film as we're going. It's on YouTube. Hysterical Girl. Now, Hysterical Girl kind of is a jab at at Freud, and I am all for it because Freud is let's just say I don't care for the man. I think he is a terrible person, and he did some terrible things. Some good has come out of it, but at what cost at the end of the day? Still, very well done. Very interesting editing job on it, and just a cool one. It's one I think was on the short list to get a short doc, but I think it was short doc, wasn't it?
Documentary.
Yeah. And but I thought it did well on what it did. It's it talked about one of his case histories, especially about the hysteria. And it had an actress basically portraying this. And if anybody really understands Freud and his understandings, the entire system was based like it works. Yes, I tested it out on all these women, and it didn't work at all. Therefore, I found out that my system works perfectly, just not on women. And that's the kind of thing that early days psychology was built on. So, what do you think?
Well, I thought it was a very interesting documentary. It really did an interesting job. It definitely does not paint Freud in a positive light. That is quite definite. The young lady who played the act. Actually, it's interesting that we had at least one fictional film this year and 2 documentaries that all had at their core people playing roles in documentary settings, not counting Hamilton, but like you had this one and you had The Mole Agent, where you had a central figure who was an actor playing a part in a documentary. And then, of course, you had Borat, which is sort of like a fictionalized version of that. This is it's a lot of people are blurring the lines a little bit. It's interesting.
Well, we need to, I guess, double time it.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, do you think it's got a good shot?
It might have a shot. This category is going to be hard to call.
Now, this next one was a hard one to watch. This is a Netflix only.
Yeah.
It's I Care a Lot. Rosamund Pike up for actress. Peter Dinklage up for supporting actor. Rosamund Pike plays this kind of feminist anti-hero.
Feminist? Is she?
Oh, she is the quintessential It's a different thing.
She's a capitalist.
It's the old school. It's the old school idea of the white feminist, the kind that would try and kick out trans people from the bathrooms, or things like that. And she's done as a caricature almost, as just how terrible a person she is, as she uses the social systems to basically take on people who are older and take over for them and basically take all their retirement for herself. She unfortunately runs afoul of the wrong retiree, and a battle goes between her and a Russian mob boss played by Peter Dinklage, which I thought was a hilarious portrayal. He didn't get my top for a supporting actor, but he was definitely up there for it because it was just so entertaining to watch in the film.
And as we noted before, Dinklage is a double nominee for us in the acting roles.
So they definitely spar quite well with each other. And I admit, I would have liked it less if the ending was different. But the way they ended it made me go, okay, this was worth my watch.
And the ending was pretty cool.
So with that being said, I think that it's got some good stuff. If you haven't watched it and you want some good acting, and you're going to have to tough out some stuff, though. This is something to watch.
Well, I know you submitted Diane Weiss for supporting actress, and she
was great.
She, I thought, did better than Glenn Close in that category. And this one also, honestly, for that facial hair that Dinklage was sporting, this could have been a hair and makeup one, or for Rosamund Pike's whatever that thing is you call it. I did find that to be an interesting one. And talking about the supporting roles, Chris Messina, who played Zaz in Birds of Prey, was actually a better Zaz here as the lawyer working for Dinklage. And this guy that was in the trailer, and I don't know if he'll come up here, there's a guy who, at the start of the movie, she is keeping him away from his mother. And that, well, we'll leave it at that. But it's fascinating to me that guy is he is the same guy who is credited as faux envoy in The Hunt. So he had interesting roles in both of these films that I watched back to back. That were both darkly twisted movies. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I like is maybe not. Yeah, I liked it. I was disturbed by it. It is a twisted film.
Very dark.
I wouldn't necessarily put either of these up as my top pick, but I could see them winning.
Yeah. I think Rosamund Pike especially did an amazing job portraying what she did.
She had an Oscar-nominated turn in Gone Girl, and the film does have a little bit of a Gone Girl vibe to it.
Because I really do feel like I know people they really kind of hit on the whole strong female lead situation where the woman is perfect and everybody has to just figure out for themselves, oh yeah, she is perfect. And that seems to be the big trend these days for strong female characters. I feel like this is almost a parody of that, because she is a strong female character that is near perfect in what she does from the start. but in a different way.
Well, as the man says, I'm the best I am at what I do, and what I do isn't very nice.
Indeed.
But she cares.
Oh, yes. Well, speaking of feel-good films,
Yes.
this one here, it's a very short one, and it is for short animated, and it has a great chance of winning. It won the Oscar for Best Animated Short Film, and my God, If Anything Happens, I Love You, which you can only see on Netflix, is one of the hardest short films I have watched on this list when it comes to in the feels. It had me tearing up at the end. It is simplistic in the art style, but it's about, a school shooting and the aftermath. It is terrifying.
Well, it's almost more about the aftermath. You don't even learn what happens until, 9 minutes into the film?
But you can figure it out.
Yeah.
As you go. And it really is a rough, it is a rough thing. And to me, it is brilliant in its simplicity and how it goes. So to me, I think it has a great chance if people watch it. And come on, this is as short as fuck.
Yeah, it's like 12 minutes
If
long.
you're not willing to watch this, come on.
Just make sure you watch something a little lighter afterwards.
Like Honest Trailers for Space Jam.
Or like when I finally force my family to sit down and watch it, maybe we'll watch it right before we watch the Bad Boys movie or something. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a tough film.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think? You think it's got a good chance of winning?
I think it does. It is a phenomenal film. I have very rarely been blown away by a short film like I have this one. I was blown away, and and the few people that I've talked to who actually watched short films for this awards, for the most part, were very complimentary of this film. But I think there only were a handful of people who submitted in the category. Yeah, it's got a good shot, definitely.
All right, let's see here. One more for me, and then we get back to you.
Woohoo!
So this one is one that is going to be a little bit harder to grab your time for, but is well worth your time. If you have any love for 80s horror, this is a series that you need to see. We're talking about In Search of Darkness Part 2, and this goes through a lot of the 80s horror classics. It is really neat. Part 3 is in the works, which is kind of cool because they had more of them. Slime City is one that they're going to probably talk about next time.
Oh,
but
boy.
They showed some stuff, and it is the 80s were a renaissance for horror for many ways, and I really do think it is cool to watch these documentaries. It's amazing the people that they got to talk for this. James Rolfe is one of the center people for it, the angry video game nerd. But so many. John Carpenter, they had a couple people who actually have passed in here that talked as well. So if you get a chance, it is 4 hours long. That's just one of them. It is there. It is on. You can, of course, get it in physical, which I have. But also Shudder has it if you want to watch it that way. If you get that free subscription to Shudder, just be sure you end it early, or else they will charge you. So, just thoughts like that. But it's up for, I think it's best, it's up for 3 things. Best documentary feature, use of music in film, and cover design. And yes, the poster design for this is really neat. Let me see if I can find the poster design. In Search of Darkness Part 2. All right, let's see if we can find the image of the costume design. There we go. I love that right there. You can see where he's sitting there in front. If you can find it, like here, like where he's sitting in front of the TV in the night. You see all of the horror icons out there. It's just so cool. And yes, you can get the big thing for $69.99 if you really want to buy it that much. Of course, it's a cool thing to have. But yeah. All right. Do you think? Well, you haven't watched it.
I
yet.
have not watched it, no, and I cannot comment on it.
What about the poster design? You can.
The poster design is pretty cool, and I will say I like that better.
There too.
I do appreciate that better than Amityville Vibrator. I think that given the love for this kind of stuff in the group, the film probably has a good shot, but I'm not even sure I will get to it because we're talking 4.5 friggin' hours 8.5 friggin' hours to watch the first 2 films. And there's no point in watching part 2 before watching part 1, I don't think. So we'll see.
You can watch part 2 without watching part 1.
Yeah, I'd prefer not to, but we'll see where we get to. All right. Next up, we have got an interesting little film starring Adam Brody called The Kid Detective, where essentially he plays I think it's 30-something I can't speak of the word. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But anyway, he plays this guy who, when he was a kid, he solved a lot of mystery, like little, penny ante stuff. But he developed a reputation as a guy who got stuff solved. He was sort of like a Nancy Drew kind of Hardy Boys, kind of that sort of thing when he was a kid, but without all the action stuff. And he solved a case at the school of some missing funds that got him a lot of notoriety, a lot of notoriety, until his friend and secretary went missing and he couldn't find her, and the whole town turned against him. And he grew up bound and determined to remain a detective, despite the fact that everyone hates him and he can't get any work. And his new secretary, talk about your kind of useless employee. So basically, though, a young lady comes in. This young lady here comes in, and he had apparently solved something for her the previous year, but she comes to him because her boyfriend is dead and she suspects foul play, and no one else did. So he takes the case, and the specific thing that this is nominated for, it could have been up for a few, I think, but Zine Ma, very, very gifted actor that I am becoming rather a fan of, who always gets overlooked awards time. Zine Ma plays the father of said dead child, and he and the woman who plays the mother, they only have one scene, but it's an extremely effective scene. So Ma is nominated for Best Cameo or Bit Player for this film. Again, he's only on screen for probably 4 or 5 minutes, and he has a dozen lines at most. He really, to me, had an impressive performance. Overall, the film is fun. It does have some good performances. It takes some twists into dark territory later on. Not quite I Care a Lot dark, but still kind of interesting. And given the title, The Kid Detective, which you think is something you'd see on the Disney Channel, it's kind of amusing to me how dark it actually gets. But you finally saw this one, right?
Yep. You can get it on physical with a Star subscription, like I did, or rent it for $12.99. I'm glad I didn't rent this. I was not as impressed as you were by it, and I had to watch part of it again to catch the cameo. It's it's harder for me when it comes to certain cameo, because when I think of cameo, it has to kind of jump out at me as like, oh my god, that's cool, or it has to stick with me. And
See, that's what it did for me.
See, and it didn't at all. So not for me, but that's the thing, and that's why it's there. So we'll see how it goes. It may get cameo. I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, I can't.
It probably won't beat the one that you're about to talk about, though.
No, it's probably the one I'll end up voting for. No offense, Wet Movie 1, though I wanted you nominated. I don't think I can vote for you in my not against this one, which is The Last Blockbuster. Now, as a movie collector and a movie lover, this is a film, I really do think this is something. It's a Kevin Smith documentary. It's on Netflix, but I would say get it on physical. Don't get it on don't watch it on Netflix. But I guess it's only fit to say that the Netflix killer, the Blockbuster killer, ended up doing a documentary about the video store, mom and pop video store killer. So I guess, we're not talking about good people on any side of the sense here, but it does give you kind of a run back about that and about the whole idea of, video rentals and that last Blockbuster that's still up and running. I didn't have a Blockbuster when I was a kid, but I did have a movie store, and that's really what that represented for me. We have it up for
Adam Brody in this one too.
A few things. Matter of fact, this is another one of our Best Picture nominees. Documentary feature, of course, and cameo by Lloyd Kaufman, who is there just to shit on Blockbuster, and I love it. I gotta give it to him for that. That to me is hilarious. And yes, it did stick out when you're talking about a documentary that's kind of dedicated to that and the rental store, and he's the one person who's like just constantly just like screw these people.
Well, he has the one scene. I think they say like 90 seconds with Lloyd Kaufman or something like that. But then later they have a callback to it, and the callback really makes it stick. And it's like,
and to me, it was extremely memorable. I enjoyed it. And if you haven't checked this out and you are a movie lover, you should. I don't think it's available anywhere else other than Netflix and physical. Nope, Netflix and physical. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I should also point out real quick that there has been a lot of debate in our group about what really constitutes a low-budget feature. And I think this one skirts the line, but we could not, for the life of us, find any information on the actual budget for this film. We couldn't nominate it.
With Kevin Smith being involved, even in a directorial capacity.
He didn't direct it, did he?
I can't remember. I know it's a Kevin Smith documentary, so having his name attached to it may have pushed it over $1 million right there.
It may have. It may have been that most of the people involved were willing to work for scale. You never know. But it's a film that I fully agree that it kind of, at least with our group, I can definitely see how it got a feature, documentary feature nod, because I don't really think it was the best documentary I've seen, or even of the year. He may have been on board as a producer or something. Yeah.
And he's in it too. So.
Yeah. I do think that it is a very interesting documentary, and I learned a little bit, and I did enjoy hearing what people had to say. And yes, I agree with this choice of Lloyd Kaufman. I wouldn't have even thought of picking a cameo from a documentary, but now that I've thought about that. It's
Well, this documentary has definitely transcended the category.
yes, he did a great job in that. I do think that it's very likely he will end up winning that award from us. Whether it'll win the others, honestly, if the group votes, like a large number of them vote for documentary, I think this will probably carry that category too. I don't know how many will actually see it, but it's hard to say.
It is. All right, 2 more. Let's get through. Double time.
Next up, we have a nominee. I don't know why you insist on just calling these short films. They're all short films if you're talking about the shorts. But anyway, so we have another one nominated for a live-action short film, which is called The Letter Room. This was a nominee for the Oscar for live-action short, and it stars Oscar Isaac as a very bored letter reader in a prison, and he develops in his mind a connection with a inmate's girlfriend, I think, who we come to find out eventually is played by Alia Shawkat in a very, very brief scene. It was a fun movie. It was interesting. It was one of the lighter-hearted, if any of them were lighthearted, but it was one of the lighter-hearted live-action shorts that was up for an Oscar. I had figured it had a shot at winning because of the star power, but in the end it did not. It's good. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely good, and probably has a shot at winning.
I don't think the star power is going to pull it over with the group.
Not with our group,
here.
no.
But I do think it was a decent film. I tell you the truth, I will probably vote for the 2020 1917 parody over this. I might even vote for that one. I don't know.
2020 was fun.
But this one was good. It was much lighter-hearted than most of them. But I was surprised it did not win. I thought the star power would have put it over. But yeah, still. Okay, Netflix.
So get to go out with Netflix. A bang on your.
Sorry, the other one is Netflix. This one you can rent for $4.99, or if you do a subscription to Topic, you can watch it on there. All right, so last one.
Well, apparently it's on Vimeo too. The trailer said it was on Vimeo.
So probably what I had to actually is probably renting on Vimeo for $4.99.
Okay.
So this one here is one that I was pissed off because this would have gotten a foreign language film nod if they had not had the one. If one, the Oscar year hadn't been so screwed up, and two, if they hadn't decided, okay, we'll give it one nod for original song, which was The Life Ahead.
No, it was all about the actual release of the film because it was outside of their stupid ass window for foreign feature.
Well, that's the thing. Foreign feature, I'm saying for the next year, the 2021 year.
They would have probably ignored it.
Which is sad because this is a Sophia Loren film, and this is about she's this Jewish individual who is she's a Holocaust survivor, and she's kind of taking care of these children who really don't have anywhere else to go. And she kind of has this bond with this one child. Now, I admit that people might find some problems with this because it has a white savior kind of thing with the child being a person of color. That's the one thing I could see some people having a problem with. But I love the relationship that they throw together. And you talk about Anthony Hopkins portraying somebody with dementia. Sophia Loren's acting in this was spectacular, showing her mind slowly disappearing as it goes, but showing her kind of fighting tooth and nail to keep her identity for who she was. It was a tour de force for her. She came out of retirement for this role, and though she may not win it, I think that she deserved a Best Actress nod. and that is why I put her up for that. And apparently I was not the only one who agreed with that.
Right.
And also someone put up Ibrahima Gier? How do you say it?
I would have thought you'd have Ibrahim Aguye is how I thought it would be.
This is for supporting actor. It can only be seen on Netflix. It is a really good film. If you can see it, see it. But if anything, just to see Sophia Loren come back to film, maybe it probably is her swan song, and what a swan song to have. Sadly, it'll be forgotten.
And I'm surprised as well that the only Oscar nod it did get, we did not manage to give for it, which the song Yossi is actually quite a good song. The Diane Warren written song, co-written rather. I do find it intriguing and strange that both you and the other individual that nominated both of these people nominated Ibrahim Aguye for supporting actor, and he's pretty much the star of the film. And it falls into the same trap the Academy does every time, which honestly pisses me off, where they look at kids and go, oh, they can't be the lead. They're obviously the support. I thought he was a full-blown lead in this film, along with Sophia Loren. But at any rate, I didn't see the need to nominate him given some of the people he was up against. But he did a great job. She did a great job. It pained me to take her off of my list, but I ultimately did. I don't think I nominated this for anything, actually, but it was so close in so many categories. And just think, if we had kept the foreign language category, it would have been a shoo-in for that. Yeah, but you thought it was unnecessary because the films would stand on their own.
Well, they should stand on their own.
Right. But again, my point is sometimes you get a very, very, very crowded field, as we did. It's nice to give them a little extra.
If I had a crowded field, and I would probably just put the foreign films I nominated for the other things outside of it in that category.
Do what?
But then again, I don't know how many of those I nominated this time. I nominated this one a whole bunch, but I can't think of a lot of the other ones I nominated.
There were, well, as far as foreign films go, there were only a few that we ultimately did get to see. I only saw a handful myself. I probably could have scraped together 6, but
I mean, the ones that would have been up there didn't quite make the time run. But that's the thing, is you should watch them anyway.
Yes, you should.
So,
but it is difficult to see them in a timely manner. That's one of the problems with the foreign films. It's one of the biggest problems. Unless you live in like New York or LA, maybe Chicago, those. Anyway,
well, more discussion for next year if this does well enough. So we're counting on you, yes, you peoples, to actually watch this, to participate, to vote, because if you want to vote in this, we do have a ballot now. So let us know, let me know, let Jake know, let any of the Inside Movies Galore team know. They can reach us, and we will send out a ballot because we want to get them done. Voting is due up. I decided to change the voting to the end of that week because we're not going to get out the last thing until the 17th.
What week?
So it'll be the 20th of August. So it's coming up. So check it out. But in any case, we'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
And that...